the news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari proposes strong united front of African leaders towards defeating terrorism and violent extremism. Ministries, governmental agencies, military and paramilitary establishments to be encouraged in 2017 budget to patronize made in Nigeria goods. A Nigerian Air Force destroys set of stolen barges in Delta State. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Elizabeth Banu and we're reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. African leaders have been called upon to collaborate more effectively as a strong united front towards defeating terrorism and violent extremism ravaging growth and development on the continent. President Muhammadu Buhari made the call while receiving the Deputy President of Kenya, William Ruto, in the State House, from where Adamu Sambo reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari described as worrisome that after a successful decolonization campaign, the continent of Africa is still grappling with acts and effects of terrorism. He said a situation in which insecurity continues to obstruct the process of development should not be allowed to continue. The president, who acknowledged the valued cooperation between Nigeria and Kenya in the fight against terrorism, commended the East African country for the recent successes recorded in containing the challenge of security in the region. On the forthcoming election of a new leadership for the African Union Commission, President Buhari advised African leaders to ensure that a strong person emerge so that member countries can be encouraged to refocus their resources and energy towards human and national development. He promised that Nigeria will hold robust consultations on the need for capable leadership that will respond to the current challenges facing the continent. Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, is vying for the position of chairperson of the African Union Commission. Deputy President William Ruto of Kenya commended President Muhammadu Buhari for providing leadership in Africa, especially on regional security and the fight against corruption. The Nigerian leader's efforts at eradicating terrorism and violent extremism, he said, had emboldened the continent's resolve towards achieving lasting peace and security. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki says when passing the 2017 budget, ministries, governmental agencies, as well as military and paramilitary establishments will be encouraged by the National Assembly to patronize made in Nigeria goods. The Senate President stated this when he received members of the Aba Traders Association in Abuja. Waziri Zayanu reports.
The Senate President said the decision is predicated on the need to save the much-needed foreign exchange as well as provide employment in the country.
Agencies of government must, by law, shall ensure that anything they're going to purchase, they must look first at the locally produced.
Leader of the Aba Traders, Sam Hart, said they are at the National Assembly to solicit legislative support in their determination to contribute their own quota towards ameliorating the country's economic recession.
We also want to thank the Senate as an institution for their foresight in amending the Public Procurement Act, which has necessitated, or rather, which has institutionalized the purchase of local products.
In related development, the Senate President also received members of the Bitumen Marketers Association as well as those of the National Association of Women Societies, where he re-echoed the Made in Nigeria mantra. In the meantime, Senator Kabiru Gaya has expressed gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari and the entire National Assembly for their support towards electing him Vice President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union for Africa.
It was an elective position, but finally at the end of the day, the two countries that wanted to contest with Nigeria stepped down at the last minute, and Nigeria was given that position, and I happened to be the member elected for that position.
Senator Kabiru Ibrahim Gaya was elected at the concluded 135th General Assembly of the IPU in Geneva, Switzerland. From the National Assembly, Waziri Zayan, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the present administration has taken steps to develop the tourism sector as part of its diversification plan to grow the economy. The minister said this in Marrakesh, Morocco, where he is attending the African Ministers of Culture and Tourism Conference. He said that Nigeria is ready to embrace prospective investors into the nation's tourism sector. Anthony Folson reports.
African ministers, having strategized and made inputs into the proposed charter document, took into consideration the peculiar situation of each African country with a common goal to ensure that the sector is developed in the interest of the continent.
If we do not reasonably manage our cultural resources and heritages, which drive tourism, we would end up having nothing to market. The various articles is actually talking about creating awareness for the need to reasonably exploit our tourism.
We'll sign this document which talks about durable, responsible, sustainable and inclusive tourism.
It is important also to emphasize that this is a first in terms of grouping all the ministers of tourism together.
The document, if ratified, will not only take into consideration sustainable development of the sector, but critical issues are equally taken care of in the charter document.
It takes into consideration climate because it's one of our main assets when we promote destinations.
It's a way of framing also tourism along with the environmental concerns.
To have a sustainable use and to pass to the coming generation too, we need to develop a sustainable utilization principle.
With this endorsement by the African countries being represented at this meeting and formally to be presented to the summit, it is believed that Africa has taken its position in promoting tourism on the continent. From Marrakesh, Morocco, Anthony Folson, NTA News.
Nigeria and Portugal have entered into a memorandum of understanding for partnership in the promotion of science, technology and innovation for the benefit of the two countries. This was the highlight of a meeting between Nigeria's Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Banu, and his Portuguese counterpart, Professor Manuel Heitha, in Lisbon. He says Nigeria is set to expand her technological base through collaboration with other nations. The minister is in Lisbon to represent President Muhammadu Buhari at the Lisbon Global Forum, a platform for a select group of government representatives and business innovators to explore issues of technical advancement, innovation, entrepreneurship, and their role in shaping a better world. Dr. Onu, who is the first vice chairman of the African Union's Specialized Technical Committee on Education, Science and Technology, will also attend a meeting on technology acquisition in Argentina and World Bioethics Day and 20th anniversary of the AU Resolution on Bioethics and Development of Africa in Yaoundé, Cameroon. The Minister of State Aviation, Hadi Sirika, says the aviation sector is pivotal to the growth of key economic sectors, including tourism, trade and commerce. This was when the Senate Committee on Aviation visited the Ministry of Transport on oversight. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
The Minister of State also said capital budget implementation was focused on the completion of ongoing projects.
In this ministry is to address safety and security concerns, which are very paramount to the operations of the air industry.
Government will, once that is done, I'm sure we will succeed in establishing a national career. This national career will have minimum interference. After all, we have prominent Nigerians at today managing airports like Gatwick Airport.
In another development, the Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism visited the National Council for Arts and Culture and National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism to assess their budget performance in 2016 and things militating against their performance to look at ways of assisting them.
NIOTA that is responsible for manpower training and capacity building, needs to, to be properly positioned. Nigerian Council for Arts and Culture, NCAC, we have seen too there is supposed to be a regulatory body, but the law, or the act, on which in its existence pedestal is such that, they do not maximize, their functions, in such a way that, of course, they get better visibility.
Also, the Senate Committee on Federal Character visited the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, where the Executive Secretary, Tor Uja, emphasized that the Commission would strive to achieve zero abscondment in this year's pilgrimage. In his remark, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Federal Character, Tijani Kaura, commended the Commission for expanding their scope of pilgrimage to Mecca and Rome. Ifeanyi Ezumba, NTA News.
The Defense Headquarters has dismissed a publication by a national newspaper claiming that foreign mercenaries would be used to fight Boko Haram. Describing the newspaper as mischievous and lacking the truth, the Acting Director, Defense Information, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar, stated that the Nigerian Armed Forces has the capacity to clear the remnants of the terrorists, and that is what the military has been doing. He said it is not logical to go for mercenaries after the battle of Boko Haram insurgency has been won, with only a pocket of attacks witnessed in the last few days by fleeing Boko Haram terrorists. The Defense Headquarters therefore urged patriotic citizens to ignore the senseless talk and dismiss the story in its entirety, as it was concocted to serve inglorious selfish interests. The air component of Operation Delta Safe of the Nigeria Air Force has destroyed a new set of barges and canoes used by oil thieves for conveying stolen petroleum products in Rivers State. A statement by the Director, Public Relations and Information, Group Captain Ayodele Famuyiwa said the latest operation showed that illegal bunkering activities have resumed around Bile and environs, but the Nigerian Air Force will not relent in its pursuit to put an end to these acts of economic sabotage. Citizens have been admonished to complement government's efforts in nation building by assisting the less privileged in order to address poverty. This was part of Friday's sermon by the Chief Imam of Wuse Community Mosque, Ustaz Tajuddin Adigu. Aliu Tukro has details.
The need to create self-sustaining models of social protection to address the issue of dispossessed people, which will continue to threaten both local and national security, necessitated the focus of this Friday's sermon. The Imam stressed the need for Nigerians, especially those that have, to emulate Prophet Muhammad and his companions by assisting the needy.
The relationship of the khutbah and the condition we are in today in this country is that Muslims shouldn't wait for government in given. Those who are rich among the Muslim leaders, in fact, those who are also into other private work of life, and Allah has enriched them. In fact, those who are moderate in what they have of sustenance should extend this gesture to those who are lacking primary need, and especially what to eat or food. And this gesture should be extended regardless of religion.
If we do those things and follow the instructions given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will definitely be a better society.
To worshippers, the gesture will not only foster peace and unity among citizens, but also promote security in the society. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
Divine intervention and genuine support of the people in the fight against corruption are important steps to check the menace in Nigeria. This was the view of the guest speaker at the 29th General Assembly of the Christian Council of Nigeria in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
Theme for the 29th General Assembly of the Christian Council of Nigeria, CCN, is the God of Life. Speaking on the topic, Role of the Church to Achieve Corrupt-Free Nation, the guest speaker, a professor of religious studies in the University of Ibadan, Professor Isaac Ayegboyin, said the three levels of evaluating corruption in any country includes where corruption is actively condemned in the society, where corruption is passively resented and where corruption is condoned. He said a society where corruption is condoned is detrimental to democratic values, pointing out that corruption has cut across all spheres of Nigerian economy. The guest speaker said this has affected Nigeria's foreign investment, and the church has a big role to play in tackling it.
We don't have many people who are doing things differently in Nigeria. I think that's the reason why we have this kind of problem that we are going through.
Nigeria to advance spiritually, physically, and otherwise. Nigeria, as I always say, is a matter of must return to God.
Talking about President Muhammadu Buhari's fight against corruption, it is believed to be the right step in the right direction, and anybody found culpable must not be spared, as this is a way that Nigeria can take a pride of place in the Committee of Nations.
Whatever religion anybody belongs to, if you have been indicted for corruption, let the law take its course.
Corruption is said to be endemic in the Nigerian system to the extent that some see it as the only way of getting things done, and this must change. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
And a 10-year interfaith development agenda for all African Union member states is part of the action plan in achieving the Africa Agenda 2063 by the African Union and KAISED International Dialogue Center. This was part of resolutions made at the end of the second African Union Interfaith Dialogue Forum in Abuja. Lydia Basi reports.
Following an intensive two-day deliberation, delegates at the Interfaith Dialogue Forum approved a declaration and a plan of action on their joint work in education, partnerships, media, and development.
This forum is very specific, and it comes in the right time to harness the contribution of a very big branch of society.
The many challenges that we face, hopefully with our partnership, we'll be able to address in this continent.
With the launch of a steering committee of 2 years term, the forum acknowledges the need to build partnership between the AU, interfaith, faith-based groups, organizations, and religious leaders for peace building and development in Africa.
We are in the world which God himself has created, and since we all live in the same world and we are members of the same family, how can we hold one another and each other accountable?
This is a time for us as Nigerians, to religious leaders, not to just sit inside the mosque or inside the church, but to look beyond the separation of the church and the separation of the mosque, to move into the social public spectre.
Among recommendations in peace and reconciliation, the action plan recommends training for journalists covering religious issues to enhance media coverage. The forum was jointly organized by the AU and the International Dialogue Center, KAISED. Lydia Basi, NTA News.
We earlier told you that the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the present administration has taken concrete steps to develop the tourism sector as part of its diversification plans to grow the economy. He stated this at the African Ministers of Culture and Tourism Conference in Morocco. Anthony Forson reports.
Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, alongside 5 other ministers, formed the first panel that took a closer look at the challenges inhibiting the sector in Africa. But for Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed, Nigeria under President Muhammadu Buhari has exhibited the political will to develop the sector and key it into national economic growth.
We have so many things that the world wants to see. We have stories that the world wants to hear. What we're doing right now is to ensure that we are able to leverage on this huge diversity in horticulture, huge diversity in tourism, to make tourism the next oil in Nigeria.
The minister listed events that have unfolded, which gives the present administration the courage to be positive about the sector being able to contribute to economic growth.
2015, we had about 14 local governments out of 20 local governments in one state alone under the sovereign authority of the Boko Haram insurgency. Today, we do not have one local government or one commune under the authority. Peace has returned to the Northeast.
High point of the meeting was a formal endorsement of the proposed charter by all the African ministers, signifying that In unison, they have endorsed the document and will need it ratified for implementation. From Marrakesh in Morocco, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And back home, in honor of a parliamentarian with substance and indeed a history-making individual, notable personalities were on hand to felicitate with former Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Mulikat Akande-Adeola, at the unveiling of her book, A Woman in Parliament, Chronicles of Nigeria's first female national parliamentary leader. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adeglue reports.
The achievements of the two-term administrator were not lost on those in attendance, including the Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara.
We are celebrating leadership because leadership deals with inspiring the next generation. And they said that the secrets of great men is in their stories.
For every nation that desires to reach the pedestal of development desirable, women must be given their prime position in rulership.
The author, Mulikat Akande-Adeola, is described as humble yet impressive.
Once everybody sees themselves as working for Nigeria, as a representative of the country, things will definitely change.
The book reviewer describes the 148-page book as having striking features.
It is a historical rendition, a reflection, reminiscence, introspection, and an inquiry all rolled into one.
It is also described as an example of the true and innermost meaning of success and failure. In Abuja, Dennis Adeglue, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Outgoing Edo State Governor Adams Oshiomhole speaks of hard decisions taken during his tenure, and governors of Anambra and Delta states meet with FRSC Corps Marshal. Find out why when NTA Network News returns in a moment.
This is a happy moment for me and for all Nigerians.
Amina Ali Nkeke, the first Chibok school girl to be rescued in the renewed onslaught against the Boko Haram insurgency.
Amina's rescue gives us new hope.
Federal government has formally received the 21 abducted Chibok girls.
These dear daughters of ours have seen the worst that the world has to offer. It is now time for them to experience the best that the world can do for them. Government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely.
Once in a generation, a technology emerges that transforms a nation. Close new 4G network is exactly that. It is by far the fastest mobile internet in Nigeria and the first with nationwide coverage. Government institutions and big business will have the tools they need to build the powerhouse of Africa. Small business will be enabled to make the big leap. Medical procedures will be more advanced and your home will become truly smart. With our most extensive national optic fiber network linked seamlessly to Glo One submarine cable, it is data speed and capacity beyond imagination. 4G will accelerate Nigeria's progress into the Super League, and everyone will see their lives change beyond recognition. The wait is over. Welcome to 4G LTE from Glo. Welcome to the new speed of life.
To send and receive money across Africa in a flash, use Rapid Transfer today. To find out more, visit us online at ecobank.com. Move on up with EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
People think it's the ever-changing weather during Harmattan that makes them sick. Actually, it's the germs.
Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs, including flu.
Does your antiseptic liquid kill the germs that cause flu, diarrhea, typhoid? Dettol does. Dettol provides 10 times more protection versus leading competition. So why take a risk with your loved ones?
It's truck month at Ford, and we've got a Ranger just for you, Vincent. Here's the Workhorse 2.5 petrol single cab with free Ford Protect, a 4-year, 120,000-kilometer service plan. Or the 2.5 petrol-based double cab with 800mm water wading capability, available in manual transmission and with free Ford Protect. So while stocks last, visit Koscharis Motors today. Because, wait for it, thanks Vincent, we've got a tough Ford Ranger just for you.
The Future Assured project and its components Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have accorded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
In conformity with the change agenda of the federal government of Nigeria, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Ibrahim Idris, guarantees a people-friendly and accountable police. Do you have any complaints about any policing activity or your contact with a police officer in any part of Nigeria? Have you been asked to give a bribe? Have you been requested to pay money for bail? You have the right to be heard.
Contact the Complaint Response Unit, CRU, now on telephone numbers 0805 700 0001, 0805 700 0002, SMS only to 0805 700 0003, WhatsApp 0805 700 0003, BBM PIN 58A2B5DE, Twitter at policeng_CRU, Facebook www.facebook.com/NPF complaint, email complaint@npf.gov.ng or npfcomplaint@gmail.com. Our website is www.npf.gov.ng/complaint.
Bail is free. Police is your friend. Complaints Response Unit is available day and night.
This message is from the Nigeria Police Force.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. The outgoing governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole, has described as necessary some of the hard decisions taken during his tenure, especially those seen to have trampled on some toes. Governor Oshiomhole was speaking at a Thanksgiving Mass organized by the state government in Benin. He said projects executed during his tenure are projects that are more beneficial to the majority of the people.
We tried our best not to locate projects on the basis of who lived there, but to locate projects on the basis of our own calculation as to the ones that will have the greatest impact of our people. We have made mistakes. We have also taken some difficult decisions, knowing fully well that they will hurt some people. But there is no way you could run a government without stepping on toes.
Now, Adams Oshiomhole expressed appreciation to the people of the state for their support and cooperation, calling on them to extend same to the governor-elect, Governor Godwin Obaseki. The national chairman of the APC, governors, ministers, business tycoons and traditional rulers were among those that attended the Thanksgiving service. The All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, says having resolved its recent internal crisis, it is now refocused to work as a team towards future election victories. National chairman of the party stated this after a meeting between the National Working Committee and 36 chairmen of the party in the states and the FCT. Timothy Yusuf reports.
National chairman of APGA explains that the meeting is a great reunion
and a further demonstration of a party that is poised to work towards attaining a common goal henceforth.
Abuja, instead of depleting in numbers, is growing from strength to strength.
National Publicity Secretary of the party, who later read the 7-point communique at the end of the meeting, says they have resolved to intensify contact and mobilization of funds towards future engagements.
The 37 state chairmen, that is the 36 states including FCT, unanimously passed a vote of confidence in the able leadership of the national chairman of ABGA, Ozombu Dr. Victor Ikoye.
In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The National Assembly says it is committed to sustainable peace and security in the country through its proactive legislation aimed at curbing extremism, militancy, and terrorism. This was part of the message of the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, delivered at an African Leadership and Security Summit held in Abuja. Edino Justice has details.
The summit with the theme Sustainable Democracy, Security, Environment and Development was organized by a non-governmental organization, Center for Peace and Environmental Justice, to draw attention to Pan-Africanism concept of solving problems. Issues for discussions were unemployment, poverty, injustice, security threat, polluted environment, and how they are linked to instability and underdevelopment. The Senate President, represented by Senator Gbenga Ashafa, who commended the timeliness of the summit, says the present assembly is in a business of legislation that will add value to Nigerians.
One against terrorism, the other one against cybercrime. And these are the two laws that, as at now, will be able to assist us in curbing terrorism in whichever form you look at it.
We believe that the best way to talk about it is to organize conferences through non-violence approach. Let people know that our first formula is dialogue.
Speakers agree that Africa must identify and address the root causes of some of the problems that manifest as militancy, terrorism, violent crimes, which have triple effect on national and global economy. The high point was the presentation of a peace plaque to the Nigerian military for her sustainable contribution to peace in Nigeria and Africa. Edino Justice, NTA News.
And a Peace and Scholarship Conference in the Northeast Sub-region organized by the International Tijaniya Brotherhood in collaboration with Yobe State Government and other partners has opened in Damaturu with the theme, The True Legacies of Kanem Borno Empire and Sokoto Caliphate. The conference aimed at creating an avenue for promoting peaceful coexistence after years of Boko Haram terrorist activities. Mustafa Yusuf Musa reports.
First of its kind in the Northeast Sub-region, the conference, which brought together high-profile Islamic scholars such as Sheikh Tahir Osman Bauchi, emirs of state in the region, and representatives of state governors, was aimed at tackling extremism, radicalism, and terrorism, which negatively affected the Northeast during the years of Boko Haram insurgency. Declaring the conference open, Yobe State Governor Ibrahim Gaidam said the Kanem Borno Empire and Sokoto Caliphate have contributed immensely to the growth and development of Islamic education, culture, and civilization, not only in Nigeria, but the West African sub-region. Governor Ibrahim Gaidam said the poisonous and dangerous ideologies of Boko Haram terrorist group have no place in Islam, and called on Islamic scholars to work hard toward preaching the good virtues of the Islamic religion.
This course of action is further reinforced by Islamic scholars and Islamic institutions the world over who are unanimous in their view that Boko Haram and groups like them have nothing to do with Islam, nor does Islam have anything to do with them.
There were goodwill messages from the Sultan of Sokoto, Sheikh of Borno, Sheikh Usman Bauchi, among several other prominent personalities extolling the virtues and wisdom behind such conference in the region. In Damaturu, I am Mustafa Yusuf Musa, NTA News.
And wife of Bauchi State Governor Hajia Hadiza Abubakar has enjoined all Nigerians, irrespective of gender or religious leaning, to work towards achieving total peace in all aspects of Nigeria's national life. Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed reports that the governor's wife made the call at a workshop on peace building in Bauchi.
Bauchi State, being the gateway to the northeast, might not have experienced much violence and other forms of conflicts like other states in the region, but the state have had its own share of unrest. It is for these reasons that wife of the state governor, Hadiza Abubakar, through her non-governmental organization, Bauchi Sustainable Women, Economic Empowerment and Peace Initiative, PSWEEP, organized peace-building workshop for civil society groups, religious and traditional institutions, as well as peace education for teachers and peace clubs in secondary schools. To set the ball rolling for the campaign, Bauchi State Governor Muhammad Abubakar, represented by his deputy Nugidado, says there is a vision in PSWEEP's peace-building mission.
We need to go deeper, check our community relations, check our attitudes, individually and collectively.
Peace is seen as a state in which there is no war or fighting, an agreement to end a war or a period of time when there is no war. Indeed, this is what PSWEEP's peace initiative seeks to achieve.
Having identified violence and conflict as antithetical to growth and development, participants at the workshop agreed equality, justice, empathy, and tolerance are key factors in peace building.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has assured of the readiness of the Apex Bank towards assisting Nigerian farmers to boost the agricultural sector. He stated this during an assessment tour of a rice-producing community in Jigawa State under the CBN Anchor Borrowers Scheme. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Endowed with fertile land for rainy season farming and irrigation, it is also among the largest producer of rice that can feed the nation. It is against this backdrop that the Jigawa State government deems it fit to queue into the CBN Anchor Borrowers program to enhance rice production. The Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, who was on assessment tour to some rice farms in the state, lauded the commitment and determination of rice farmers, saying what he saw in Sarah Kalgwe farm can equally produce the food Nigerians required.
I want to assure you, sir, whatever you need to continue to push this dream of feeding our people, the Central Bank stands ready to support you.
Minister of Agriculture, Audu Obe, together with the Chairman, Presidential Task Force on Rice Production, Atiku Bagudu, commended the intervention of the CBN and commitment of Jigawa State for answering the clarion call of President Muhammadu Buhari towards boosting self-sufficiency in rice production.
The President has told us produce the food. We are producing the food. Governors are taking the lead. In a short while, Nigeria will become a major rice exporter.
What we have seen today in Jigawa is quite commendable. About 600 million tons of rice are produced worldwide, and I'm sure Jigawa, in a very short distance, will be contributing no less than 10 million.
We are very grateful. Farmers are now rich people.
36,252 rice farmers are expected to benefit from the scheme in Jigawa State. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. Small and medium-scale enterprises, SMEs in focus, as we join Vera in our Lagos Network Center. It's over to you, Vera.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening. This is Lagos. The federal government is working relentlessly to improve business environment and create a better coherence in its policies. This is with a view to boosting the activities of medium, small and micro entrepreneurs in the country. Ablai Mohammed reports that this was the submission of Minister of Industries, Trade and Investment Okechukwu Enelama at the 5th European Union Nigerian Business Forum in Lagos.
With commitment to pursuing an all-inclusive trade and investment policy, Dr. Okechukwu Enelama told the EU investors that Nigeria is open to investment, especially in the MSME sector. He emphasized that the federal government is implementing sustainable intervention policies that will develop the capacity of small-scale entrepreneurs to compete favorably with their counterpart in the international market.
One of the central priorities of our revamped trade policy, or the trade policy that we're revamping, is to pursue enlarged market access for Nigerian manufacturers and service providers, of which, of course, a disproportionate number are SMEs, like I said earlier.
Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai took time to outline the various measures taken to sustain the textile industry in Kaduna. He pointed out that stability has been significantly restored to the industry.
Around KTL, we are looking at downstream activities that will create a cluster for garmenting in Kaduna. Zaria, Kaduna have for years been famous for their tailoring expertise. We want to tap into that, bring those tailors, train them in modern garmenting techniques, and begin to export ready-made garments.
The forum also provided opportunity for networking with a view to executing business deals and partnerships. In Lagos, Abdullahi Mohammed, NTA News.
Local government autonomy without subversion of constitutional powers of the state executive makes for all-round development in any given state. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said this at the unveiling of books on modern administrative and local government laws in Lagos. Musa Toliat completes the report.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said the quest for local government autonomy is born out of the need to practically take developmental projects that have direct positive impacts to the grassroots. He emphasized that the failure of local governments in any given state is premised on poor funding and lack of understanding of the roles and responsibilities of local governments to take good governance to the doorsteps of the people.
Many indices of our underdevelopment will be fought, will be won or lost at the local government level.
Mr. Fashola, however, advocated that adequate funding of local governments must be given priority while calling on state and local governments to work out an effective collaborative effort in revenue generation in the states. High point of the event was the unveiling of 2 books on modern administrative law and practice in Nigeria, as well as local government law, cases and materials.
You find out that a lot of our problems can be addressed by addressing it from the administrative law point of view.
The right to life within 0 to age 5 is a question of whether or not we can fund the local government sufficiently with capacity to employ high-quality personnel.
The 365-page book on modern administrative law and practice dwelt on several topics, including separation of powers, delegated legislation, functions of public and civil service. The book on local government law dealt with local government development, constitutional status, and administration. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Federal government seeks partnership with organized private sector towards economic recovery as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo pledges government support to deepen the capital market. Amechi Pass has details on Business News segment.
A strategic plan to deepen Nigeria's capital market has been endorsed by Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo. The Vice President gave this indication when he visited the Nigerian Stock Exchange in Lagos. He told stockbrokers that government recognizes the role of the stock exchange as an engine of growth of the economy, especially in a challenging period witnessed in the country.
Essentially, what it is that we all recognize that that this is a partnership, the private sector and government. Government being merely a regulator and a partner in ensuring that the private sector does business and does it well and efficiently. Because the private sector owns the economy. So for us, this is an important engagement, and this is why I'm here.
Government, he assured, will work with the private sector to evolve measures and policies to tackle the various problems faced by operators in various sectors of the economy.
Where there are opportunities, for example, where we think and we'll be acting a lot on the advice of the NEC Council, where the NEC Council, for instance, or the market makers here believe that there are things that can be done to make life easier in some ways or to encourage listings in some ways. We'll be happy to listen to those.
Representatives of the stockbrokers and Council of the Nigerian Stock Exchange described the visit as a demonstration of government support to grow a vibrant stock exchange in Nigeria.
In the limited time
His answers gave us strong reason for hope.
This stockbroker puts the vice president's visit to the Nigerian Stock Exchange in perspective.
Government officials begin to understand that, yes, the market has the capability and the depth to raise funds for government to finance the economy.
And that's Business News. Thanks for watching. The news continues shortly. Good evening.
And if you just joined us, you're watching the NTA Network News live from the Lagos Network Center. We have more reports ahead on the news in Abuja when we return after this time out. Stay with us.
My daughter-in-law, so how are you planning for my son's birthday? I have to cook for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No. It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chijuke. Hi, Sobwete Market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law. It's arranged. But you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijuke, please include Isio Morocco. My daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo per second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second. Dial *211# to activate.
That's it, boo-boo.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This is NTA Network News, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. Economic experts at a one-day Champions Business Forum have predicted that Nigeria will soon hit its economic boom. Their prediction is based on the steps taken by the present administration to address the economic recession in the country. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
Rethinking economic recession as a blessing which has exposed individuals, corporate bodies, and the nation of hidden errors, and now helping to correct the wrong financial behaviors, was the focus of the meeting. Director News of the NTA, Aliyu Babaparao, who represented the NTA's Director General, Yakubu Ebu Muhammad, and other economists submitted that Nigeria is on its way out of economic recession.
So when you do what you are supposed to do, not to be shouting recession, not to be shouting Buhari, when you make the change within yourself, things will start happening.
Have us what to have. We have all it takes. This country is a great country.
I don't mind. It brings a lot of crime in the society.
Government is not turning back, coming back to agriculture as the backbone of the economy, manufacturing, solid minerals. That is what Nigeria has in abundance, and fundamentally, perhaps, is the human resource, and we have everything.
One major advantage the forum pointed out was the fact that the recession has helped the nation to look inwards. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Protests against U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's victory turns violent as suicide bomber leaves casualties at German consulate in Afghanistan. Global tidbits, sports update, and weather update when we come back. Stay with us.
The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, oh Geruola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Protests against Donald Trump's victory in U.S. presidential election turns violent